The light of the sun rises from the east. After a 3-hour journey, it reaches the far western border of China, the Tian Shan Mountains. Spreading vastly below is the Xinjiang Uygur Autonomous Region, where the ethnic group Uygur dwells. The name Uygur appeared more than 1,000 years ago. However, as an ethnic group, it evolved through those years and finally came into formation during the 15th and 16th centuries. Uygur is the Chinese phonetic translation of Uygur, which has the meanings of united, coalition, attachment, and conglomeration. Uygur's earliest documentation traces back to the 4th century in the history record of the Han Dynasty, named Wei Shu, Gao Che Shun. Uygur was then translated into Wei Yi. It was then a tribe and a coalition of tribes in the jurisdiction of the central government. By the 7th century, it was called Huihe. By 788 AD, it was changed to Huihu. By 1934, Uygur was officially adopted by the then Xinjiang provincial government, and that name is still in use today. Uygur is rooted from 2 main tribes. One is the Huihe from the Mongolian grassland. The other comes from the natives of the oasis from South Xinjiang. Huihe originated from an ancient tribe from the Mongolian grassland, Dingling, which is also called Tele. They are also called Gaoche, since they use carriages with giant wheels containing numerous spikes. In 744, with the support of the Tang Dynasty troops, Huihe overthrew the dominant Turkey Empire and became the Huihe Empire on the north of the desert. In the early 16th century, Saida Khan, a descendant of Chagatai Khan, the second son of Genghis Khan, founded the powerful Yakand Kingdom in Kashgar. He united both sides of the Tian Shan Mountains and the Tarim Basin under the Islamic religion. For the first time, the people in the vast territory were politically, economically, and culturally united. The contemporary Uygur thus emerged by 1513. In Xinjiang, no matter if you are Akash or Ili, in the city or in the countryside, you will always be attracted by the dance and music of the local ethnics. This dance and music is not just for festivals, it's part of the daily ritual called Mai Shi Lai Pu. According to the Turk's language dictionary, by the 11th century Uygur Muhammad Kashgar, the ancient Turk people had a kind of evening party, with men joining women for singing, dancing, and enjoying drinks. Historians think the Mai Shi Lai Pu was rooted in this old custom. Mai Shi Lai Pu is very typical in the Daolong region of Kash, where ancient nomadic tribes live. Mai Shi Lai Pu of Daolong starts with a Daolong Muka prelude. After the solo, several people start playing the tambourine simultaneously. The dance is well choreographed, and when the beat starts to pick up, dancers in pairs start a competition like spinning. Uygur is an ethnic group with a long agricultural culture. The ancestors of Uygur cultivated the oasis, built canals to channel water, and invented karez, which is a unique underground water system. There is a place called Flaming State and Windy Central in Xinjiang. It is Turpan, which is supposedly the dead zone for souls. But there have long been many large oases with clear, flowing water and where life flourishes. The reason is that karezes underneath the Turpan Basin form a water system as complicated as the human blood vessels. According to the statistics, there are more than 1,600 karezes in Xinjiang, located in Turpan, Haimi Basin, Pishan, and Kucha. Turpan has the most condensed with thousands of kilometers long karezes.
这就是坎津的，它的说呢就说出口，出水口，也可以说龙口。坎儿津呢，坎儿津它是它的构造呢就是一个竖井，一个龙口，还有安区、明区、老坝这些东西组成的。
这属于明区了。
现在呢，从龙口流过去以后呢，就算明区，龙口的里边呢都是安区。是这样子。但是这个水呢，就是咱们坎儿津这个水啊，就是冬暖夏凉。夏天呢，这个水是特别好，你完全可以喝，完全可以直接喝，没问题。
味道怎么样？特别甜。
The surface of the Flaming Mountains can reach 80 degrees Celsius in July. It is formed by shifting layers of earth billions of years ago. The red-brown shiny sands reflect strong light from the sun, and it actually looks like burning flames. However, on the west side of the mountain, you'll find fresh green trees and grass with a clear river running through the valley. This is the so-called Grape Valley. Follow the melody of the songs through the deep paths, and you will always find yourself in front of a dancing and singing show. In China, if people hear the song Alamuhan, they will immediately have the picture of a beautiful Uyghur girl, Alamuhan, with her beautiful body and long beaded hair, attracting the eyes of thousands. Besides her beaded hair and her beautiful face, she has a long skirt made from silk, which is the unique production of Uygur's Idolasi silk. Idolasi means bandaloo. It comes from the ancient Chinese dyeing technique. There are parallel stripes with different colors, widths, and patterns. Because of the contrast of color and pattern, they are very colorful and shiny. Uyghurs from both sides of Tian Shan Mountains, no matter whether they're men or women, and no matter whether it's winter or summer, like to wear hats with square tops. This is a custom of several hundred years. There are always black and white or colored patterns outlined by silk on the hats. People choose their favorite hats to wear during holidays, weddings, and parties. In the markets, you can find all kinds of hats composing a splendid picture. The hat tops are mostly handmade. First, 4 pieces are sewed together, centering around the tip. They are then put onto the hat mold to sew the velvet black rim. Hats from different regions have different characters. Kash in the south is famous for its mal hats, and the Hetian region is famous for its checked female hats, and they are considered the best in all female hats. These square-top hats are a typical ethnic sign of the Uyghurs. Jade stones from Xinjiang are the best in China, and among the best of these are the ones from Hetian. Uyghurs have a long history of jade carving. The Uyghur craftsmen can carve human, birds, beasts, fish, insects, and flowers out of jade stones. Especially jade necklaces, rings, and accessories under the light. These masterpieces are shiny and transparent. Actually, Hetian is also famous for its carpets. Xinjiang was an important gate of the Silk Road. The merchants brought carpets from Xinjiang to the west and Persian carpets to Xinjiang. So the techniques and designs from the east and the west are interwoven together here. Carpets from Xinjiang to the west from 16th to 19th centuries are collector's items and treasured by many people. The handicraft industry has been very well developed since ancient times. The pottery and porcelain have a long history here. In the areas that have the condensed Uyghur population, pottery shops are essential in people's daily lives. A simple piece of clay in the hands of the craftsman can become useful pots, vases, and bowls. The Shisha knife is named by its birthplace, Shisha County. It is said that 300 years ago, there was a Uyghur blacksmith named Maimai who made the sharpest and most beautiful knives. Square, round, triangle, and tooth-like shapes are engraved into the knives, and the handles are painted red and blue to distinguish them. The knives were so good that many shops started imitating. Like that, blacksmiths became the most fashionable job in town. Now, the Shisha knife is the most popular tool for people living on the grassland and the best souvenir for tourists. Uyghurs not only have dexterous hands, but they also boast rich cultures. In the year 1060, two great works appeared, the Turk's Language Dictionary and Luck, Joy, and Wisdom. There are more than 200 poems and more than 200 proverbs collected in the Tuje Language Dictionary. They are the accurate documentation of the literal achievements of Uyghurs' ancestors and the societies of that time. Luck, Joy, and Wisdom is a long poem written in the Turk language. The whole poem consists of 13,000 lines. Through the dialogues of characters, the poem expresses the opinions of the poet on the then politics, economics, military affairs, astrology, geography, philosophy, art, and morals. In Xinjiang, no matter how busy you are, you've got to go to the night market. The barbecue lamb uses fresh lamb, and the fire cannot be too strong. The best ones are crispy outside and tender inside. The delicious barbecued bread, nung, is another invention by the Uyghurs. It is made from wheat and there are many varieties and shapes. The largest is called Imanka bread. It is thin and crispy in the middle, thick and soft on the edge. This kind of bread needs at least 1 kilo of flour to make. That's why it's called the King of Nung. The hollow part of the nung can be 1 meter deep, with a big belly in the middle and narrow tip. It looks like a jar. There's little moisture left in Nung, but the bread can be kept for days, even half a month. Finger food is another popular food for Uyghurs. It is made from rice, mutton, carrots, raisins, onions, and oil. They are mixed together and steamed to be shiny and flavorful. The most celebrated dish for Uyghurs is the ashimatu, which is meat buns with finger food. In each bowl of finger food, you place 5 to 6 thin-skinned meat buns. It is used to feed close guests from near and far. Uyghurs believed in ancient religions such as Saman, Muani, and Buddhism. Later, Islam came to Xinjiang and became the only religion. Most Uyghurs believe in Islam and the missionary of Allah Muhammad. They believe in Al-Quran, abide by Sharia. They follow the strict ritual of praying and fasting. Mosques are the center for all followers. They also administrate religious affairs for their regions. In the 7th century, Muhammad designated December 10th Islamic calendar for each year as the Kurban festival. During this festival, every family should butcher a lamb. This lamb is not for sale, but for the sole purpose of feeding the guests, family, and friends. The difference between Uyghur butchering and other ethnic groups is that it is full of religious meaning and holiness. Before the butchering, there's always a han, where an elder reads the scripture to ease the soul of the about to be butchered. During butchering, the blood should always be drained as much as possible, since the Uyghur consider animal blood as impure and a taboo. During the festival, sanzi is a must-have food. Sanzi is made from flour, milk, eggs, pepper extract, and salt. They are mixed and made into noodles to be fried. Then they are piled up in a big plate like a pagoda on the table. It is the decoration for the Kurban festival and a delicious treat. The ethnic musical instruments of Uyghur were developed from the ones in ancient Central Asia. String, wind, and percussion are the main forms. The name of this old gentleman making a rewaipu is Ali Mujan. He spent his life making instruments. The instruments he's made can equip 12 mukamu bands. The traditional concerto, 12 mukamu, requires 24 hours to be played. So people say the 12 mukamu is the classical musical history of the lives of Uygur. Dance is a freestyle one. There are no rules or formats. Dancers improvise solo or in groups. When the music goes into a climax, people always call out cheering. Now, people cheering with beats from the music brings the whole party to another climax.